Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome, everybody. There you go. The championship towel, Indiana champions of the Big Ten Conference on this Monday. Welcome in. Appreciate you being with us. Looking forward to another fun show and big one. No doubt today as the Indiana Hoosiers make history Saturday night and Sunday as they go from doormat, outhouse to the penthouse. They go from having been the losingest program in football, no longer that, but now to the top of the heap in all of college football and amidst the greatest turnaround in sports history. And I didn't know, not just college football, sports history. Find me something bigger. That great discussion of another point in time, but who cares? Because this is spectacular. It is fun to watch. Here's one of the towels. I know for those of you that are listening on the radio can't see it, but it's just one of the towels that they gave out. Indiana football. It's got the Big Ten championship trophy on it. So to the victor go the spoils, and the spoils are many. As I think I sent out a tweet during the game toward the end that if Indiana wins his game tomorrow, they'll continue to make history because not only do they win the Big Ten championship, they would have been number one in the AP poll, which they are, number one in the CFP, which they are. The Heisman Trophy winner will come home to Indiana, which that is yet to be told. The votes are in. I think that deadline is today, I believe. So yes, today 5:00, I believe. But pretty sure Fernando did what he needed to do. Something else I think I said or sent out that Fernando has to have a Heisman performance, because that's what they were going to need to win the game. And a Heisman performance does not mean you throw for 900 yards. What it means is you make the plays that need to be made when they need to be made. And did that. That and another guy who is maybe the unsung hero of this entire season, Charlie Becker. I mean, a guy that no one even knew about really until guys started getting hurt. Elijah Surratt went down. He's feeling all of a sudden. He's like, he's making some catches. Then, of course, the catch at Penn State, amongst others, and continued maybe the biggest play of the game for Indiana when they go down that right side toward the end of the game to put the game away. That's a big time throw and pass and gutsy call, just everything. But the big time plays were made when they needed to be made on the offensive side. Defensively, they were making them all damn game. All damn game. They were rolling. This team is, man, defensively, they are unbelievable. And I've told you this. I've said this for weeks and weeks and weeks. I was sick and tired of hearing about Ohio State's defense when Indiana is just as damn good. That there were no, and not only were they just as good, that they played a tougher schedule. So they don't have to prove jack squat now. They got the marbles, they got the trophies, they got it all. Number one in the AP poll for the first time in program history, in the history of the AP poll as well. In the first, in the history of history. It's just a magnitude that continues to move. Even when people think that this landslide has stopped moving, it's a massive landslide that is just wiping through, but it's not done. It ain't done yet, baby. Not by a damn long shot. National championship, national title on the line next. That's what they're chasing now. Indiana is a legitimate, if not the, I think they're the favorite to win the national championship. Now, will they be made the betting favorite? I'm going to bet not. But I can't imagine if they're not that it's far off. I don't know how you don't make them the betting favorite personally. They have passed every test. They pass every test in ways that's better than how it should have come out. And no matter what, it's like, oh, okay. It's like, well then do this. The people, as fans, you got to understand. Especially if it's coming from fans, who cares? Fans are not, fans of other teams generally are pretty ignorant of other teams. For one, it's just the emotional attachment, but they're very attuned to the stats and numbers of their own teams, not so much of others. And they're very attuned to stats of their own team where it helps benefit them greatly. But all of that, none of that matters, baby. Buddy, oh, buddy, we're going to hit the break so we can be ready for the Fish to join us. Man, oh, man, I wish I'd have got to hear his call the other night. Well, we'll get to hear him live with us here in just a minute. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after we hit our first break. After that, we've got the man with us, Don Fischer.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. I think Don Fischer should be joining us here in a minute. You know what? I really can't remember if he's supposed to be with us on this day after, because the season has ended. And I didn't even talk to him about it. Plus, he had the double duty, and so it's a very good chance that he's not even planning on being with us today. I didn't even check, because I know he takes off sometimes, but especially with his double duty on Saturday, calling both the basketball and the football game. We did not talk about the basketball game. Actually, not much to talk about, to be honest with you. Indiana started that game down 16-0. You can't front the number 1 team or number 6 team in the country 16 points and expect to have much of a success with that. Don Fischer was on the call for not just that one, but the game later that night. Most importantly, how'd the voice hold up, brother? It did. It worked. I saw John Herrick, Don Fischer joining us now. I saw John Herrick carrying a special glass of tea into the radio booth. And I said, "Is that for Don?" And I yelled at him, "Is that for Don?" He's like, he just gave me the nod. And I'm like, okay, he's good to go. He says you have a system, a special system of doctoring your tea that you get.
Well, it's not really a special system. I add honey to it. That's all. I mean, it's not a system. And the truth of the matter is,
I thought he said you were going into your briefcase. You had your back turned. You're over there mixing some. No, I'm just kidding.
I literally, I took honey with me. I took a little bottle of honey with me so I could put honey in my tea when I got it there. And the fact of the matter is, it was, they didn't have a lot of hot water there. And by the time he got the water back to me, the tea was about lukewarm, so to speak. So it all worked, though. The voice was fine and didn't have a problem. And, it was a tremendous, tremendous football game.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to spend time on it. I'm sure it was exciting, the opportunity getting to do that. Hard on the voice, yes. But in your long-time career, the excitement of the possibility of doing an Indiana-Louisville basketball game and an Indiana freaking Ohio State Big Ten championship game. Wow. I mean, that's pretty damn big, Don.
Well, it is in the sense of two really important ball games, and the one being the biggest in that sense, because without question, playing for a Big Ten championship at Indiana has only happened twice before this opportunity took place. And it was an honor to be a part of it, of course, just to be involved in it in that sense and to get a chance to broadcast that type of a game. And it was historic. There's no question for this Indiana football program. And what we have seen, Jim, in the last 2 years at Indiana is simply unheard of. It's never happened before in college football.
In sports. I think in sports, Don.
Probably right. Probably right. I mean, I try to undersell things sometimes because the hyperbole sometimes gets way out of line. But in this particular case, I don't think there's too many things you could say that's hyperbole about what Indiana has done this year. And now they're in the college football playoff. They're the number 1 seed. They're the number 1 team in the country. And who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it?
No one, but and we didn't have a reason to. But that's what makes this so special is there was no hint. There's no rise. There's no having some little history like Northwestern, they've been to the Rose Bowl, but nothing. No, you're going from 0 to 1,000. And and on top of that, you had a coach that was telling you from the start it was going to happen, and he did it. Everything. And I don't want to blow him up, too much, but It is what it is. And my question is, how in the hell is Kurt Signetti not going to get a big head? How do you not, after being told you are the greatest every day, because when everybody on planet Earth is now saying it, and it's pretty much the case. Even Paul Feinbaum is going to have to say it.
Well, he probably won't, because he's the one. He's a stubborn, bullheaded idiot that doesn't get it, and he doesn't. And he's never gotten it because he does. I think he thought that when Kurt got the job at Indiana, I think he thought that Kurt Signetti came off as an arrogant coach that had never been there at that point, all that kind of thing. I think that's how he thinks about it. And I don't know that because I don't know Mr. Feinbaum, and I don't care if I know him one way or the other, because his opinion isn't any more than mine or yours or anybody else's. It's not that important to me in that context. But the thing that bothers me most about it is that he won't admit that this guy is a tremendous football coach.
It's the whole SEC, Don. That's what pisses me off about the whole SEC. Sankey, it's the whole mantra. We are it, and you are below us. We deserve 7 bids, as he said. And I'm like, dude, they cannot recognize anybody else, any other greatness, and that is that's the aggravating thing. It's just the bombasty of it, and who cares? All you got to do is go out and beat that ass again for a third straight time. Can you imagine a third straight national champion with 3 different teams? I know before you don't like talking about that, but just that possibility, I love stirring the pot. And I hope that it is Indiana. And then hope next year, if it's not Indiana, it's Oregon winning 4 straight. But Indiana is now a legitimate national title contender, Don. They're number 1 in the AP poll for the first time ever, number 1 in the CFP. And I think it all bodes well. I like how how it's set up. I like the layout of everything. And so I'm looking forward. First up, though, the Rose Bowl, man.
Well, and that's the other thing, too. I got to go to the Rose Bowl for the first time last year because of Indiana playing UCLA in a regular season game. So it wasn't the Rose Bowl from my perspective. It was simply a game at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. But this will be the Rose Bowl, and it'll be just like 1967 in the sense
the parade and everything, baby.
Exactly. So the whole thing will be so much like what an actual Rose Bowl has always been. And so that to me is going to be the fun part of this whole thing, and to be a part of it. I'm just humbled and honored to be sharing in it with everybody else that's an Indiana Hoosier native.
Well, it's just amazing to watch this team, watch them after the wins, watch them do what they do, watch them win how they win, watch them win with guys that are no stars, 0 stars, 2 stars, whatever, looking at the stars. Fernando was looking at the stars on the first play, and that was the question I asked Signetti in the presser. Coach, what were your thoughts when on the first play of the game you look up and your quarterback is on the turf? And he was just like, oh, man. So I think his heart skipped a beat when Fernando hit the ground in that first play, but obviously showed his toughness coming back, and he took a hell of a shot, a lot of shots.
Well, here's the other thing about that celebration afterwards. All these guys, all these players that were interviewed, they were all talking about team. They were all talking about exactly that camaraderie that this team has, and giving credit to all their teammates. Fernando was right at the top of that group, thanking the good Lord for having him put them in the position that they were in. It was just really cool. And honestly, from my perspective, Indiana handled it brilliantly. I'm talking about the players, the coaches, and what Coach Signetti said. I mean, people talk about Kurt Signetti being arrogant, those kinds of things. They just don't know. They simply do not know what kind of guy this guy really is. And that's the thing that I don't like about Feinbaum, because he won't admit. I mean, the bombacity that we saw last year for Kurt Signetti,
was with
It was
purpose.
needed. It was needed. It had to change the whole atmosphere of Indiana football and the thinking process that people had about Indiana football. That's why he said what he said, and then he backed it up.
Yep.
And of course, they said, well, they played nobody last year, blah, 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 blah. Well, they played a lot of really good football teams this year, and they've beaten them all, just so you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Admit, people, that you can make a mistake on somebody and a team. And if they would do that, then I would be fine with it. But so far, I haven't heard that apology, or at least an admission that what we talked about and what we're talking about is factual.
Well, the one solid way they'll get it, 14, 15, 16-0. That means a national title. And then So looking forward, we don't know who Indiana's going to play next. Indiana right now looking to get healthy, Don. I know some guys took some dings. They did all this without Omar Cooper,
Right.
the star that they had. Elijah Surratt makes a great grab, but once again, Charlie Becker. How I've never seen a guy go from, I don't want to say anonymity, but from like he wasn't needed because they had so much. They were very receiver rich with EJ Williams and Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt and Nowakowski. Then all of a sudden, Charlie Becker starts making these fantastic plays, and now he's making plays that are needed. And the play of the game, probably, Don, that throw along the right side.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. I mean, that was the play. That was the backbreaker for Ohio State, literally. Fernando Mendoza's throw was spectacular, and Charlie Becker's catch was just as spectacular. I mean, and those guys' connections this year, think about that. The Penn State ball game, the connections that he made with Charlie Becker in that game that Fernando did. And, I mean, we've seen some tremendous football from this ball club this year and some exciting finishes. We've seen everything that you want as a football fan. And this Indiana football team has provided probably as much excitement and as much fun as we've ever had at Indiana in my time. Because obviously I take nothing away from that 1967 Big Ten championship team, or tied for the Big Ten championship team with Purdue and Minnesota that year. And they went to the Rose Bowl. So, and what they had, what was the term that they used for the all the people that got on airplanes and bought airplane tickets and everything to go to the Rose Bowl? Because it was, I guess, one of the greatest transitions of people from the Midwest going west to see an Indiana football team back in the day. Well, you're about to see it again.
No doubt. That's without question. And this receiving core is mind-boggling. Charlie Becker, I've gone down the list. These guys have done such an incredible job. But defense, Bryant Haynes, again. I've said it at the start of the show. I've said it so many times. I got so sick and tired of hearing about Ohio State's defense. I'm like, hey, great. They got a great defense. Indiana is just as good, I'm telling you. And Indiana had a tougher schedule, and their numbers were right there. So I'm like going, Indiana's defense showed 5 sacks. They had only given up 6 sacks all year, Don. Indiana gets 5. Then you got Lewis Moore. I love this stat. I've been tracking this for weeks, waiting to use this. Oh, Lewis Moore got his 6th interception. That's one less than Ohio State has.
Yep, there's no doubt. And Lewis Moore has been terrific this year. A guy that you don't hear much about has also had a great year, and that's Jamari Sharp. And nobody talks about him because D'Angelo is such a great player. There's no question about that. But Jamari Sharp has been tremendous as well. Those two corners are as good as any corners in the country in that context. Here's the thing. Indiana will be tested again here in this playoff. There's no doubt about that. And there are some really good teams in this college football playoff scenario, and they could all beat you if you don't play your best football. The good news is that we have a coach that sticks to that process to get them ready to play a football game. And that's what I'm so forward looking to, because I know this team will be ready to play and meet every challenge. Whether they can win every game or not, we'll just have to wait and see, because you can only win or lose on the field.
Yep, and I'll let you go. Next time I will ask you, because if this being the Rose Bowl, there's going to be obligations they have, which I think are probably going to be outside of the window of Sig's normal operational method of operation of going to those games. So I'm wondering about how that may affect things, but we'll save that for next week, my friend.
Trust me, he'll make the adjustment.
No doubt. We appreciate you, brother. Glad that you made it through. Great. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, we'll probably see you tomorrow night. We've got a basketball game to take care of.
Yeah, see, didn't even worry about talking about that. That's okay. Well, we got plenty of basketball this season.
No
Football
question.
deserves it right now.
All right, man.
Fischer,
Thanks.
the voice of the Hoosiers. Appreciate you, sir.
You bet.
We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Actually, we don't have to jump out this second, but yeah, there's the Fish. Made it through both broadcasts. He had basketball and football duties. Of course, basketball was rough way to go for Indiana, but man, Mendoza's getting back to the football game. Early on, his Heisman status was looking a little early on, his Heisman status was looking very iffy. He got knocked right in the chops. Well, he didn't get hit in the jaw, but he got knocked. He had the air knocked plumb out of him. But you didn't know it at the time. You couldn't tell. You just saw the hit. You knew it was brutal. It came from Caden Curry, the badass dude out on the edge there for Ohio State. And Fernando did not move. Gets up. As soon as he jogged off, I'm like, he'll be fine. And it took him a while. That first half, not a great one. Indiana only able to produce 6 points, a missed field goal. It did not look good at that point. Defense kept Indiana in the game. The offense had more yardage at the half and at the end of the game. And as a matter of fact, Indiana ended up with 340 yards to 322 for Ohio State. Of that 322, 46 yards came on that last play. 46 passing yards. If it wasn't for that, they keep him to less than 220, which is what Indiana had. More importantly, Ohio State with 58 rushing yards, people. Who's got the defense? Yeah. 58 rushing yards. Ohio State only with 2 penalties on the day. First downs, 17-17. Third downs, Ohio State was 4 of 11 on the day, but they were 0 for 4 at the halftime and were 1 of 7 at one point. Total number of plays. I love looking at stats between these two teams. Total number of plays, Indiana ran 57, Ohio State 56. Average yards per play, Ohio State 5.8, Indiana 6. Golly. Average yards per completion, Ohio State 12, Indiana 14.8, and that jumped late in the game. Here's another one. Average yards per rush, Indiana outrushed Ohio State. That was huge. They had 118 yards rushing to that 58 that I talked about. And that was big. Big. But nothing bigger than the defense. Sacks, baby. 5 sacks, 29 lost yards, 9 tackles for loss compared to 4 for Ohio State's vaunted defense. Mercy, my. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, that's huge. But this is what Indiana's done all year long. And it didn't matter that they did it against Oregon. It didn't matter that they did it at Iowa. It didn't matter that they did it at Penn State. They just kept getting ignored. You can't ignore it now, baby. It's just fun to watch. It is fun to watch. Now, Jeremiah Smith ended up with 144 yards on the day. 46 of that came on the last stinking play. It aggravates me that they gave up that yardage on that last play. Just knock it down. You're not going to call pass interference on that. Tackle it, grab him by one of his arms, pin it down. It's a scrum in there, baby. Now, Ohio State did. Wow. You know why Ohio State had 58 yards rushing? And they had Bo Jackson that had 83 because Julian Sand was negative 29 because he got sacked all day long, running for his life. Hey, Ohio State's good. Indiana could end up beating them again. You never know. They could meet them again. If Ohio State manages to get through the their side of the bracket, when we come back, we'll talk about who's playing whom, who's going where. Yeah, Joe Klatt's done a good job. How did you enjoy listening to the game? How was the calls? Anything that jumped out at you? Lots more coming up. We're back with it here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Glad to have you with us.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. And you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. It is such a Monday because Indiana is the Big Ten, or are the Big Ten champions for football. How crazy is that? Yes, it is true, man. And something that I know some people have thought of and considered, but there is the possibility Indiana wins 3 more games. They will be the only teams in college athletics at that moment with the undefeated football champion and the last undefeated basketball champion. That's going to be on a bunch of t-shirts.
I promise you. Pasadena next up on the dais for Amadeus for Indiana. That's 3 weeks away though. That'll take place on New Year's Day. So they've got time to rest up, heal up. Everybody else though is going to be playing except for the four bid teams. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network joining us. Busy weekend for him as well. How are you, sir?
I'm good, and my apologies for my tardiness. I hope you're having a great start to your show.
You're never tardy, brother. If you're here, you're perfectly on time. It's always a good start. Had Don Fischer on, of course. He made it through as busy as you are, and I know you've probably done this multiple times. I'll guarantee you that. He got to call at an Indiana basketball and football game in the same day, which of course that has happened before, but not in the same city. So there have been times where he's had to have a fill-in for basketball. But of course, he was not going to miss that. And I had intended to take as a joke some honey and tea with me to the game, but didn't need to do that. John Herrick. I saw him. I was up in the press box. He had a big old thing at tea, and he's walking, and I was like, "Is that for Don?" And he's like, "Give me the big nod." So yeah, Don was getting everything ready. But what a great day for sports, first of all, in the city of Indianapolis. It is the sports capital of the world. I don't care what anybody says. There's no freaking argument, damn it. First of all, you've got the Indianapolis 500. That should just start and stop the conversation right there with the largest sporting venue in the world. Then what else? What do you want to add in? USA Gymnastics? You want to add in the NCAA? You want to add in the Final Four, the Super Bowl, the NBA championship, an NBA team, pro this, pro that, Greg. Plus, on top of that, we got Greg Rakestraw. But it's the greatest sports city in the world. And it just handles like that event Saturday. They handled that like it was a Girl Scout social.
It's what we do here. It's a pretty big Girl Scout social with 68,000 people there. But again, this was the vision of the generation, maybe even two before us at this point. You know, I would encourage folks to go try to find. There's this great documentary that Ted Green and the folks from WFYI did maybe 10 to 15 years ago at this point, called From Naptown to Super City. And it kind of shows the formation of the Indiana Sports Corporation, as I like to call them, the other ISC. They were around first before our ISC that I work for on a full-time basis. Let me just state that publicly. But they do a tremendous job, and it's a reason why the Final Four is here every 5 years. It's the reason why the NCAA has been here for the last 25 years. It's a reason why the Super Bowl is here. There's a reason why maybe the ultimate example of the functionality and efficiency of Indianapolis as a sports city is actually the fact the NFL Combine has been here since its inception. And for so many years, the topic of conversation has been, hey, let's move this and make it more of a fan event. And I understand what the weather is like here at times at the end of February or mid-February when that event has taken place. As the NFL calendar has moved back, that event has drifted back by a couple of weeks, and it's kind of a crapshoot we're going to get weather-wise at the time. And basically 31 other NFL teams, because the Colts obviously wanted in their backyard, but 31 other NFL teams have said, no, keep this here for all the reasons that you just cited, that basically it's a 2-cab ride town or a 2 Uber ride town, one to get from the airport and one to get back to the airport. Everything else is walking distance in downtown. Everybody wants to go to St. Elmo's at least a couple of nights a week while they're here for the Combine as well. So the fact that, that Indianapolis has held off Los Angeles for the Combine to stay in Indy for the run that it has had is the sign that this is what we do here. This is what this city is known for. This is the sports hub, which frankly allowed it to be long enough for the Indiana Hoosiers to win the Big Ten football championship in the 15th playing of it. And of all of these stats that we could throw out about the previous history and or futility of Indiana University football, that is the shortest span of time that we will give in terms of the epic nature of that win on Saturday night that Indiana fans only had to wait through 15 playings of the Big Ten football championship game for their team to be in it or for their team to win it.
Yeah, and what a spectacular night it was. I mean, it was a great day. The town was buzzing from freaking 9:30 in the morning. I'm not kidding. There were lines outside of bars like Clayton's Country Bar downtown, where we were, amongst others, all down through there. I mean, lines. This was like this is a day Indianapolis dreams of, that they wish they could get once a week or once a month.
Sure.
If they get one of these once a month, oh my God. But that's what they do, like you said, and they do it well. I didn't see anything that there were holdups there. Everything was just easy to get to. It's easy to get in, out, and that's great. And that's what makes that city is so great. And I hope that they leave the freaking Big Ten championship there instead of being stupid and doing like, oh, let's move it to Las Vegas this year because there's so many Big Ten fans out west.
What I would say is this, Jim. I actually think the expansion of the college football playoff helps keep the game in Indianapolis. In other words, you need to make it more drivable, knowing that, again, the fans of the teams that are going to make Indy likely they have at least one more playoff game to go to, if not a couple. And so I actually think that there is less chance of that game moving. Obviously, the other thing you have to take into consideration is that, there's less places because in December, unless you're going to play it at the Rose Bowl or the Coliseum, it needs to be indoors. And so that really means that you've got Indianapolis, Minneapolis, Detroit. The biggest threat to the Big Ten football championship
Kevin
game,
Warren's gone. The Big Ten championship is not going back to Minneapolis, Greg.
Right. I would say it would be Chicago if and when the Bears actually build that facility in Arlington and make it a retractable roof or just a full-out dome. And given the fact that not only is that the home office for the Big Ten, that literally the office is down the street, that's the opportunity for that game to move, at least an alternate like the old days of the Big Ten tournament, going back and forth between Chicago and Indianapolis every year. But again, you're right. For the fact that the first 15 have been hosted here, that's pretty special.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. And what a way for this season. And I know that covering Indiana is not what you do, but it's just.
Did you see the Colts game yesterday, Jim? We can talk about the Hoosiers all you want to.
Yes, I did, unfortunately. Yeah. But you cover Indianapolis. You cover Indiana as a state. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because you have your finger on the pulse of everything that's going on, and I love that. And this is so big for the state. You don't have to be an Indiana fan. It's huge for Indiana high school football, and Indiana's going to have a Heisman Trophy winner. There's no doubt in my mind that he did what he needed to do in the second half of that game. He was going into it. I'm like, he's lost it. He was there and he slipped there. And then at halftime, I said, these suckers are going to let Diego Pavia come in and win the Heisman because neither one of them was doing much, but it was because they were playing against the two best defenses that they've ever seen in their lives. But in the second half, Fernando stepped up. He had the Heisman moments. No doubt he's going to win the Heisman. Greg, they're number one in the AP poll. First time ever, number one in the CFP. They're going to have a Heisman Trophy winner and back-to-back national coach of the year, potential undefeated national champion. What do you say? It's not Indiana. What do you say?
The movie's been made. Obviously, you're hoping there's 3 more wins there. But I do think that the Big Ten championship and to a lesser degree, I can't believe I'm saying this, it's the Heisman Trophy. Almost as insulation in case the playoff doesn't go well. There is still the Big Ten championship you can point to. And I'll go back to the last time that I was filling in on the Fan for jQuery. I had Zach Osterman, and again, Zach's always great, but I hope, folks, you read his work after Saturday because it was brilliant because Zach's a really damn good writer. And I told him, and my guess is if you haven't had this conversation on the air, you're going to have it after I bring this up. Indiana and Kentucky are going to play in basketball each other in the regular season for the first time in 14 years on Saturday night. And it's going to be the second biggest event at Indiana University Athletics that night because Fernando Mendoza is going to win the Heisman Trophy. And so I asked that to Zach about 3 weeks ago as that was lining up. And I go, hey, buddy, have you figured out, are you going to be covering a basketball game or are you going to New York City on December the 13th? And he goes, we're going to cross that bridge after the Big Ten championship. Well, now we are here at this point where, again, there are so many conversations that you have and you almost catch yourself going, is this a factual statement that I just said? Is this a real conversation? And the only conversation that I've been involved in sports from a personal level that this reminds me of, and this is going to age me, and it's a sad statement to make. I've been involved with IU Indy, IUPUI athletics, off and on, but for the most part for the last 25 years. And it was now 23 years ago that we made the NCAA tournament. And I remember being on a bus ride back from Kansas City after beating Valparaiso. And we were talking about, well, we're going to get Kentucky or Kansas or Duke or whatever team. After about 5 minutes, we just start laughing. Like, can you believe we're actually having this conversation? That this is real life that's going to happen about 10 days from now? And it's the same thing with Indiana football fans. They're playing in the Rose Bowl for the first time in 58 years. Indiana is playing for a potential national championship. Indiana is the number one team in the country, not in what the rest of the world calls football, because they've been good in that for years, but what Americans call football. Indiana would aspire to be the number one team in Indiana, because that's rarely happened either. And now they're the number one team in the nation. So yes, this is not a story that you can oversell. It's impossible to oversell. And again, I'll go to, I don't watch a lot of the, pre-game, post-game coverage, but in a situation like this, you find yourself just wanting to kind of soak in the moment and talk more about it. And the fact that Urban Meyer looks into a camera and goes, folks, this is the greatest story in the history of college football. And nobody laughs you off the set. The fact that you have to go, yeah, it just might be. And it's happening for you literally down the road. That's insane that we're having this conversation 2 years after Kurt Cignetti was hired. Insane.
Absolutely. I mean, people like that, Urban Meyer that you're speaking of, are not only calling it the greatest turnaround in college football history. I've heard many of them, and I agree, calling it the greatest turnaround in sports. Right. Now, that's harder to do or compare just because of it is the greatest turnaround in the history of college football regardless. Did it happen because of the transfer portal? Yes. Sure. But everybody else has the transfer portal. Right. And everybody else ain't doing that. So
I think my favorite meme or social media post of the weekend, Jim, has been the one that's been going around that basically gets to the point of saying Indiana apparently was the only school not paying people under the table for the last 150 years. That it took Indiana football 150 years to rest. Wait, we can pay these guys? That they were the one honest program in college football until 2 years ago when all of this.
I have got to find that. That sounds.
Trust me, it'll pop on your Facebook feed. It's not hard to find. It's been making the rounds. Absolutely.
Oh, that is pretty funny. So I don't want to make this all about IU because I know you have many other duties.
I got no problem. That's fine. We talk about the Hoosiers. I can be the follow-up.
Oh, that's right. Fischer. I forget. High school football's over. I forgot about that. Well, great season for high school football.
Well, no, here you go. You asked about doing the double. So here was my schedule on Saturday. So while Fish had Indiana and Louisville, I had IU Indy and Youngstown State. Not exactly as well attended as the game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Not a bad attendance for our slice of the world over in our last year in the jungle at IU Indy, which seats about 1,200. The Jim Morris Center will be opening next year and seats about 4,500 people. And that building is literally in progress. I think I'm going to a ceremonial beam signing at some point in time next week or the week after to kind of help celebrate that. But then after that was over, I went to Brownsburg for the Sneakers for Santa shootout. So I saw some of the best players and best teams in the state. Pike beat Louisville Male 66-55. And then Fisher's beat Mount Vernon 57-48. And again, Jim, Fisher's may be the best team in the state again, although Pike looked really impressive. And Pike's probably got a few more horses than Fisher's does this year. But what Fisher's does exceedingly well, and frankly, what they have done very well, we just haven't talked about it as much, is guard you. You know, when you, like last year, when they averaged a staggering 58% from the floor and 43% from three-point range, and of all the Fisher stats, other than just sheer wins that I could tell people about last year, Jim, they averaged 21 assists in a 32-minute high school game. That was their average. Right now, 22 assists in college basketball is the top assist team in Division I, and they play for 40 minutes. And that team is Cornell, so they have like slide rules and protractors and laser pointers to figure out exactly where they're going to pass the ball. IU Indy, which didn't happen on Saturday, but because of the pace they play, they're second in assists per game at 21 per game, because, again, they're going to try to score 100 points in every game. Fishers did that in 32 minutes at the high school level last year. That's how ridiculously good they were, which is why it's all the more impressive that Jeffersonville beat them in the state championship game. Fishers are going to be really good again this year. They really have three players. It's Jason Gardner Jr., it's Cooper Zachary, it's Kai McGrew. Pike has the two returning players in Jahari Miller and Isaiah Hill. Matt Painter was there to watch him in action as a 6'11 junior. But it's also the Lampley brothers. And I think fans have been familiar with the Lampley sisters that have played at LC. The Lampley brothers are sophomores and juniors, and they were at LC at the beginning of last year, quickly exited. Now they're both playing at Pike. Pike will play 9 or 10 people. So I know in the coaches poll this week, Jim, Pike did get a first-place vote, and they should be getting a first-place vote. They're a really good basketball team. So that was my Saturday, which, again, was better than the Sunday was for the Indianapolis Colts.
Greg Rakestraw, ISC Sports Network. Make sure you give him a follow and keep it up with all of his content. Appreciate you, brother.
See you, buddy. Talk to you next week.
Absolutely. We're back with Dustin Dopirak right after these messages. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. I hope your weekend was great, and we're getting your week started off well. Dustin Dopirak joins us now, so our good day keeps on rolling. How was your weekend, sir? He's frozen, and we'll have to get him back reconnected with us, so we'll get him on here. But my weekend was busy. I was up in Indianapolis, of course, for Indiana basketballs at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. And then, of course, the Big Ten Championship. Long day in Indianapolis, but what a fun one. And just looking at the many places that Kurt Signetti and Fernando are going to have to be potentially
over the next few weeks. Of course, in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship this weekend. New York on Saturday for the presentation of the Heisman Trophy. And I can't remember. Dustin, he might be in the Final Four for that. I don't know.
Me, yeah. No, obviously. I did a great job of passing.
Yeah. Well, you got you've got the size of Xander Diamant.
What's that?
You've got the size of Xander Diamant, you know.
He was slightly more athletic, and I mean, I think I'm better looking, obviously, needless to say.
Well, of course, that goes without saying.
Really?
He cracks me up, man. He's
no, he's hilarious.
He loves gigging. You bring up Ohio State, oh, out comes Xander Diamant, baby. But hey, you know what? I would too. He had no business on the field with them back in the day, and yet here he was running around at times making them look stupid. It was kind of fun.
He was a player, man. No, I mean, I didn't cover most of the Diamant era. I think I saw him get recruited, and I just the whole story was hilarious because he was like his dad was a
Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, and you're like, what?
Like, wait a minute, it got better. I was just having this discussion last night. His mom was on an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah,
the tractor episode is generally how one describes it. If you're a Seinfeld person, you kind of know.
Yeah.
She caught something from a tractor seat from her previous boyfriend.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. I recall.
That was his mom. You can be famous for being on a Seinfeld episode.
Back in the day, man, that was, everybody watched that show every Thursday. Like, it's not like, like some people stream it, some people don't. Like, everybody watched Seinfeld in 1994. Like, come on, man. But yeah, no, it was a wild story, and you're just like, okay, like and of all people to have recruited him, Kevin Wilson was that was what we were like, all right, this, self-admitted country bumpkin from Maiden, North Carolina, who's just, just embraced being good old boy as much as you possibly could, goes to LA to get a quarterback.
No, not just a quarterback, short, thin, Jewish. And this is stuff that Xander points out. Okay, actually, he did in a post the other day. He was mocking. He was like, "This short, skinny, white, Jewish, whatever deal, whatever he went out and did." Which was funny. But yes, it goes right in with the comparison you're making. It's like, how did
this happen?
Where the hell did he even find him?
Yeah, well, LA, but like, why did Kevin Wilson think I've got to go to LA? Like,
yeah,
how? But I
can imagine. Maybe the nightlife was good out there.
Fair. Yeah, we're making a lot. Let's delve right into that. That'll go swimmingly.
Yeah, I should have the rim shot there. Speaking of LA, I know and Indiana football. Well, those two items are going to be making a reacquaintance again in a few weeks, as Indiana heading to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena for winning the Big Ten championship. Man, it's crazy. Not only winning the Big Ten championship, I think what's getting lost in this may not getting lost, but they beat the undefeated reigning national champion that was unbeatable by a lot of people's thoughts, which you started to see a lot of people on national TV toward the end going, yeah, I don't know. I kind of like Indiana, what they can do. And because has Ohio State really been tested? Have they been tested in the second half? Kind of what we saw.
Yeah.
Indiana was right there step for step. And in the second half, Indiana did what they've done. Indiana, that's the thing. They're just as strong at the start or stronger at the end than they are. They get stronger. They don't fall off defensively or offensively. Offensively, I relate them to a rattlesnake. You can walk by them 3-4 times and you might get lucky, but that fifth time, bam. And that's what they have, that kind of quick strike capability. And doesn't matter if it's Charlie Becker or Elijah Surratt. It's just fun to watch that team play, I have to say.
It's news to me that you can get past the rattlesnake 3 to 4 times. Like you get 3 or 4 free passes there. I didn't know that.
Yeah, probably.
That's news to me. I mean, I've never. I don't think I've ever been in that situation. Maybe
I wouldn't, because if I got by the first time and I knew it, there would not be a second opportunity.
I'm not going back. But like, if I am unaware that I've ever passed a rattlesnake, but maybe I have, and he took mercy on me. I'm not sure. So
see, that's the thing. You may have gone by him several times and you didn't know.
Right. So anyway, bottom line, that's news to me. But no, I mean, I think you've seen this the entire year that they've generally been in control of first halves, but they've just overwhelmed teams in second halves. But this was just, I mean, this obviously was different, and it was on paper, you're looking at this thing and saying, like, the only reason that you would look at it and say, well, Indiana can't hang is because you don't trust the numbers. Like that you were looking at, where they ranked on defense and where they ranked on offense. And you're saying, well, I don't trust that against Ohio State. Like, I just feel like that's at the end of the day, there's a gap between Indiana, Ohio State, and everybody else in the Big Ten, at the end of the day. Like, that's kind of the case that you were making to yourself. If you're saying, well, I think Ohio State's going to overwhelm them, that means you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, well, the fact that they're top 10 in like every important defensive category, won't matter when they see Jeremiah Smith, won't matter when they see Bo Jackson, won't matter when they see Julian Sain and Carnell Tate and all those guys. Like that's when the NFL talent will take over and flash. But it's like, okay, the pace, Indiana obviously has NFL talent. Obviously, I mean like once it got started and we started to see, like, it was not easy for Ohio State to move the ball at all. 58 rushing yards, like 2.2 per carry, like they were outstanding up front. And, even when they like Ohio State opened up holes, like somehow they get a hand on somebody, like where Jackson would like get to the hole and then like end up falling for 3 yards, but just somebody got a hand on his thigh pad and he went down, like not to like act like he couldn't see, that's some like, failure on his part. But like every time, like when it seemed like, okay, like he's about to get that through that hole, he's about to get 6 or 7, somebody just grabs a shoelace and, like they managed to drag him down. And it was just, I mean, they won up front, 5 sacks, like they won up front so much. There was like constant pressure on saying. And so I guess that's the thing. You look at it, maybe if you're an expert, and I've seen this before, like obviously, like you've covered teams and seen games where you're like, okay, like I'm not sure if they're legit. We need to see it against a team like this. And then you see it against a team like this and you say, okay, there is a gap, like that. Those numbers stand up against, your Illinois, your Penn States or whatever, your Wisconsin's, but they don't, they don't get it done against Ohio State or in some cases, in previous years, Michigan or, other Penn State teams. This group was like, okay, no, this is legit. Like the size up front is legit. The speed, the strength, everything. Like they can win against Ohio State offensive linemen. They have fantastic skill position players on both sides of the ball. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just what once you got about a quarter in, you're like, no, this is that even, and it's going to come down to who knows what, like the numbers do stand up. They are legit, like they are what their, stat sheet and their record shows them to be. They're 12-0 and have one of the best defenses in college football, and they have one of the best offenses in college football. And so does Ohio State. And this is going to be one of those games. So, like you over the course of like a quarter, especially through the first half, you're like, no, this is going to come down to it. These really are the 2 best teams in the country. And, I guess decided by somebody shanking a kick. So,
yeah, well, Indiana had one of those.
Yeah.
It was a tit for tat on that deal. Shocker, though. A shocker. But it was funny. There was like 3 things when I'm sitting up there where I'm sitting that I called freakishly.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there and I'm like, he misses this field goal. I don't know. I have no idea why I even thought that for a second. But without him, I just said, he misses this field goal.
Mm-hmm.
There was a turnover, something else that happened. And I'm like, oh, it's when Ohio State was down deep into the red zone where Julian Sain's knee went down right before that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and on 3rd down, they call a rollout pass play when it was like 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I said, I think I'm running that ball just to secure the 1st down. And then if you're short, maybe you go for it on 4th down again.
Yeah.
And then didn't matter because then I said, because you never know, bad snap, bad handoff, whatever. Boom, his knee goes down. Wow, that was huge. There's you can consider that the ball game right there. That was such a huge mistake on Ryan Day's part. that I have not heard a lot of people talking about, but doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you've got to give Indiana's defense the credit for doing what they did. They were in the backfield, Ohio State's backfield, 14 times for tackles, including the sacks and tackles for loss, which is twice as much from as Ohio State. But just fun stuff, Dustin. Just fun to see in sports. You know, it's Indiana. You got like Saturday at the Heisman. You're going to have Fernando win the Heisman.
Yeah.
I don't know who's coming in second. It might be Diego Pavia. If he's not second, he's going to be third. But at Vanderbilt, these are teams that are up in the Vanderbilt. Maybe should have probably they didn't deserve to be in, but almost. It's awesome to see this stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think you could like this. Every year, this thing is different. Obviously, you're never going to not have a fight over who gets in the playoff. Like, I mean, people are saying, like, well, expand it to 16 and you wouldn't have any problems. I'm like, have you followed the sport at all? Doesn't matter how many you have in. You know, doesn't matter. College basketball, they get 68 in, and you have 5 teams mad every year. You know, like at least, and you get 68. You know, it's like. So you're guaranteed to have fights over this. But considering, I mean, like it was a year where like there's not a whole lot of, you know, like record separation. Like from a just pure resume standpoint, you know, you could make a case for Vanderbilt, you could make a case for Texas. You know, like I don't think anybody was doing that against Alabama, Notre Dame, and Miami. I think everybody sort of viewed it as, okay, those are your 3. You know, like it's 3 for 2 spots. What do you want to do there? And you could get mad about what they ended up picking. And, you know, I think Notre Dame's better than Alabama, but you know, like I didn't have a vote. And, you know, like I think Miami, I think it would have been fair to penalize them for kind of messing the whole thing up. Because if Miami just wins the ACC, this whole thing is a lot more normal. Or
should we just blame, blame the entire SEC and said, you're out
the
for
ACC.
Being stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, being stupid.
I guess, but it's just, I mean, like part of it is just like, okay, like but there's a case to say that Duke should have got in no matter what. Like there's a case to be made to say like, you know, the Power 4 conferences get their team, and if that team is 7-5, it gets in. You know,
you mean like a couple? See, back in 2020 when Indiana football was 6-1, they lost.
We ain't going to talk about that. 2020 isn't normal. 2020 isn't normal. Nothing about 2020 is normal. But
fair point.
Like,
fair point.
If you go win the Ohio Valley Conference in basketball and you were 16-15, it doesn't matter. You get in. You know, like
apples to oranges.
I mean, a little bit, but it's like,
they
all
got
right.
This thing so screwed up. They don't even know what they're doing, Dustin. That's the thing. They give different reasons each time,
which they can't. Like again, I've gone back to this 1,000 times. If you follow college football, it's because you like chaos. Like you have signed up. It is impossible to remove chaos from the system. You're talking about where there are 135 teams now. What are we up to in FBS? 135, 140, 145. They play 12 games. 145 teams. It is not going to be normal. It is mathematically impossible for this to make sense. And you can't add games. This is not a sport where you can play 50, 60 games. You know, like maybe you could expand the season to 15, and that's about as far as you can extend a college-age male body running into these collisions all the time. Like if you know, and that's probably not going to happen. Bottom line, like this sport is going to be built on chaos. We used to be even more insane. We used to determine this on polls. You know, they used to let them go play bowl games and then figure it out at the end, and we just vote. And we're like, you know, whoever the AP says is the national champion, whoever 65 guys, not 65 guys. Well, probably in the 50s it was 65 guys, but eventually women also, you know, writers, reporters, media personalities, they got to decide what champion. The coaches got to decide a champion. Sometimes it was the same team, sometimes it wasn't. So you're just like, yeah, there's 2 national championships. We're like, this is nothing but chaotic. And it's like, you know, like, what are you like? No matter what, like there was not a magic answer for the college football playoff committee to have, you know, like it, and it's just like you can. It's almost like there's some level of hubris for even being a part of that committee by acting as if you will, because it's going to be chaotic. That's college football. If you want it to be normal, go follow the NBA. They play 82, and then they play 7-game series. Like it's, you know, you like who wins. That's it. You know, end of the day. Major League Baseball, they play 162. You know, like you're gonna all that chance is gonna get, you know, played out in the wash. Like and even the NFL, they're gonna play. You know, it's like there's tiebreakers Everybody's going to lose a few games, it's very set standings, the whole bit. There's 32 teams. They play, 18 games, or 30 teams. They play 18 games, there's not nearly as much shaken out here. Like in this case, there's always going to be. You're not going to fix it. It is not a sport that can be fixed. And if this is a sport you care about, you embrace the chaos, because it's going to be like this every December, whatever, every, first Sunday of December, we're going to have the same fight, no matter how many teams you want to put in.
No, I agree with you. That's always going to be the case. And I love that Notre Dame got left out for the fact of, I just want to say, join a conference. Join a conference.
Fair.
Join a conference. Maybe you would have won the ACC.
Right.
Maybe you could win that weak conference. But regardless of that, I see Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon making the Final Four of this. There's no Final Four, but the semifinals, I guess you'd call it.
It's the Final Four. When they're when they're final, they are Final Four.
I truly believe that the three Big Ten teams are going to be there.
I mean, it could happen. I'm not going up against that, but I will say Texas Tech is better than people give them credit for.
No, I see that. That's why I was like, I'm not leaving that. Well, Texas Tech is, that's the one that scares me. I wish they were in a different bracket than Oregon, because I would like their path probably better. But Georgia's just so stinking good in the second half of games. Mm-hmm. They've done it all year long, but it's going to be fun no matter what. And it's great for the state of Indiana. How about it? How about the talk about this a minute ago to Rakestraw? How about the day for Indianapolis? Period. In sports. I mean, just what a massive, massive day. I mean, all the restaurant tours and everybody downtown are probably on Sunday was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Gee whiz. There were lines out the doors of the bars at 9:30 in the morning, man.
Yeah. No, it was wild. I mean, I obviously I was in Chicago on Friday night because that's where the Pacers played. And I just drove in, got into Indy around 3, and there were 3 airplanes circling downtown with signs on the back of them. I had no idea what they said. So 3 people bought airplanes to circle downtown to try to sell something. I have no idea what I couldn't read anything from where I was. And
for games that were all inside.
Yeah. Yes, that's even better. So it's just banking on you walking around downtown and seeing whatever that is. Yeah, there's roofs on both stadiums.
Which is not great marketing when you're thinking people downtown surrounded by some tall buildings and all of this.
It was overcast.
And all the events are inside.
Yeah, it was overcast. If you were I saw the outer edge. I mean, as I'm coming up on 70, I can sort of figure out the flight path. And just was driving around the east side and everything, picking up some things. Again, saw one of the planes going from my side, had no idea, ton of words, no idea what any of them said whatsoever. I don't know, but 3 people decided I'm going to sink money into an airplane this Saturday. And that's going to get us our big break, guys. That's our big marketing strategy. We're getting an airplane. I was just like, what? So, but yeah, I mean, it was that kind of event. And that's just one of the super cool things about being in the city is that, stuff like this happens. Now, it doesn't always happen that it's IU in the Big Ten championship game, obviously it never happened since there's been a Big Ten championship game, but combining, just having a big event to start with that just, lives in your locale, and then, having, your closest, I guess, school.
Well, I've said this. I think that they're going to, I would imagine Indianapolis starts having a basketball game every year to coincide with the Big Ten championship to potentially add to it, because I could be wrong, but maybe it was just the fortuitousness of it being Indiana in both, where you don't have a fourth group, but everybody was driving. It was everything was drivable here for everybody. So it was just a massive day, and I'll be interested to see what they do going forward if they add anything to it. But I could see Indiana basketball maybe incorporating Indiana basketball into a game there each year.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're IU, like you have to hold open the possibility that this is going to be a thing.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of it, Dustin.
What's that?
Now that they have the Louisville and Kentucky series back, you rotate either Louisville or Kentucky on that day in Indy.
Yeah. It'd be a thing. I mean, the Kentucky deals are already contracted out.
Right.
And so the question
for the
is,
next few years, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a big thing of do you want to put that in Indy? That's what I mean. That was a big part of that fight. Is IU Kentucky playing back at Assembly Hall?
Well,
that was
part of it because I think that Kentucky is always going to make part of it not playing at Assembly Hall twice in a 4 years time, only playing once, but maybe not with the new coach.
That's the thing. Like that was such a Calipari deal, and does Mark Pope care? Mark Pope's having a bit of a rough one. What's that look like? Like he's had a pretty successful career up to that point. This team is not operating the way that they were expecting and hoping it would. So I mean, they just got smashed by Gonzaga the other night, right? Like, I don't know.
Destroyed.
Yeah, it's taken me a minute to pick up, college ball just because there's NBA games every other night. But I think, Mark Pope doesn't strike me as the type that cares, number one. Number two, he doesn't have those scars, or whatever you want to call it from the watch shot. Like that was something.
And he's got bigger problems to worry about right now.
Yeah, it's just like if Indiana wants to give him a game, fine, man. You want to have it, you want to have it your rec gym, we can do what you want, like no big deal. But yeah, I think that'll be. I don't think that they're going to want to put that if they don't have to. If Kentucky doesn't make them, then I don't think Indiana will, put that up. Put a home game, put an Assembly Hall game up for grabs to say, okay, like let's coincide with the championship. I think they're looking at probably doing it when they're doing it's next week, right? Like I think they'll more just set it separate so that they don't coincide. I think a Louisville game downtown makes sense for them for this thing, whereas I think Kentucky the following week at home is what they want. So they got to go to Lexington on Saturday. So
we'll certainly find out. You have to go to Lexington on Saturday?
Me? No, I'll be between Pacers games.
I was going to say, well, in the world would you be?
Osterman. Well, someone's got to get sent down for it, I guess. Because I imagine one or the two of them are going to have to go to New York, right? Shout out to Osterman and Mike, by the way. They're doing awesome work. Zach's fantastic.
Absolutely. Both those guys are two of the best, not just writers in Indiana, but just around. They're both great. Do a tremendous job. And hey, let's take a quick break. Got the great Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with us, the Pacers beat writer. Back with more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Dopirak as well. And not the best of seasons for the Pacers. Of course, we all knew that going in, and anything that they do is going to be, you've got one arm behind your back all year long, and you know that. So actually, this team should come out of this season stronger. I know that sounds stupid, but there's not a whole lot else you can try to do other than to gain from a season. You know that whatever you achieve is people know what you got going for you.
No, I mean, so yeah, it's been an interesting watch. It's been strange to kind of see them go through this and just considering just how much they achieved last year. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, all right, well, this thing is just going to run into a wall here. And you're just going to spend a year trying to figure it out. And again, like we talked about it a bunch, but I don't know what this team would have been if it was healthy outside of Halliburton. But it's not going to be until February. They're not going to be fully back until they get Obi Toppin in February. And, every time you're like, okay, they're close to being, 100% to everybody else being back. They lose somebody else. Ben Shepherd just picked up a calf injury the other day. That's going to cost them a little bit of time. And I don't, maybe it'll be a month. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be a couple weeks, but one way or another, like he's not going to be back today. He's not going to be back Friday. He's not going to be back Sunday. They're working Quentin Jackson back, that'll help the cause some, but, Aaron Nesmith might still be a while. Rick Carlisle said maybe, sometime this month. So, maybe by Christmas, somewhere in that range, you could see Aaron Nesmith back, but you don't know. And so they're just trying to figure it out with what they got. They're closer, they're closer to a functional team. They just beat the Bulls on Friday night. Chicago's really, really struggling. They beat the Bulls twice. In a week, and them and the Wizards, so they've won 3 of their last 5 after starting 2-16, so I guess that counts as progress. But yeah, it is going to be rough. I mean, they're trying to as I've said a few times before, like you can't, people get on this idea like, okay, well, just tank, it's like, well, you can't run a professional basketball team out there and just say go lose 82 games, especially not one that's won. If you're, dealing with a bunch of puppies and they're all 22 to 25 and, they've never won before and they don't even know what it takes. And the playoffs is something that's just a distant idea for them. That's one thing. And, you tell them, okay, hang in there. We're going to get more players. You're going to get better. Everything's going to be okay. Just stick with us. Keep showing up. Keep playing. Yeah, we're not really trying to win a lot of games here, but, this is the eventual payoff. When you win, and when you win big and you do something you haven't done in 25 years and you get, 24 minutes away from winning a championship, telling a whole bunch of guys that got, earned their stripes in that period is difficult to tell them, this is going to be, hey, we just got to go get a draft pick. They're not going to buy into that. And so you just got to let them play. And you got to give them the best chance that you can. I mean, there's a few things that you can do and say, all right, well, we're not running anybody out there who might get seriously injured. Everybody, we're going to be a little bit more careful with every injury, we're not running a guy back on a calf strain, quicker than we should. We're not running a guy out on a knee sprains quicker than we should. Nobody's going out there if they're not healthy. No one's going out there and trying to make it happen on a bum leg and just, seeing what you can do. That's not a thing that you're going to do. But I think, they have a team that's functional now. When you have Siakam and Mathurin, you at least have 2 guys who can put the ball in the bucket enough to give you a chance, to give you a puncher's chance. You've seen some growth in some other guys. Getting Nembhard and McConnell back was a big deal, just having 2 point guards to keep the whole thing organized. Jay Huff has really stepped up lately. You've seen some really good flashes for him. He's leading the league in block shots, which is pretty wild because he only plays 18 minutes a game. It's pretty impressive stuff. He's averaging 4.5 blocks per 36 minutes. It's pretty nuts. And he's hitting some shots. I mean, they're some guys are making some cases for rules that they'll have, next year when everybody's back. But they're not getting in anybody's way. They're letting Pascal Siakam go do it. Like they're not saying, okay, like, how about you chill out? Like, he's missed one game. He got 1 day off for rest and he looked exhausted. And like pretty much every other game, he's putting 25 in there, and 8 rebounds and 4 or 5 assists and stuff like that. I mean, he's been pretty spectacular. So, they're hanging in there. I mean, it's a weird deal because there is a really good draft coming up. But it's an interesting case to say, okay, well, what fits for them? Like, there's not a big guy. Like they could use a center, like you got to go down to like Chris Sinak, who's looking at like 8, 9, 10 out of Houston, for a real 5-man. Like, Cameron Boozer looks fantastic, but this, is Cameron Boozer going to be better than Pascal Siakam? I don't know, like, and I mean, can you have 2 guys like that? Can they operate together? Maybe they can. I mean, I think he looks great, but like, you have a great power forward, so it's like, okay, like, yeah, he's 31, but you've got him on, you're paying him $45 million a year for the next 3 years. So, is that a guy that you take, to say, okay, well, this is going to be my guy, once Pascal.
I mean, that's a conversation you'd have to have with Siakam to say, hey man, what do you think about this? I think for him to get his opinion on it, because if he has negative feelings, it's not going to be it's not going to go well if they try to make that work. So yeah, that's a conversation that would had to be had amongst and actually both. Even though Boozer was a draft pick, you'd have to have that conversation with him as well, because these guys have to know this stuff going in. You have to have those conversations, and otherwise it's just, it's tough. Dustin, I'm just talking about how that's a conversation you'd almost have to have with both of those guys to see if that would work or if that's something that they think would work. We'll work on getting Dustin back, and if not, grateful for the time we had with him this week, and we'll have him back next week. But if we can get him, but yeah, like I said, but you've got to make lemonade with rotten, with bad lemons, however the saying goes. But when you get lemons, you make lemonade, rather. I guess just that simple. There's not the great thing is the expectations are low. As a matter of fact, the expectations are purposely that you want to keep low. Hey, Dustin's back with us. I was just talking about, you'd have to have a conversation with both of those guys, actually, to see, hey, to make this team better. What do you think about this?
Right. Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, I think it's been a pretty open organization to start with, especially with the max contract guys, especially with Halliburton and Siakam, and Halliburton's going to be involved in that discussion. It's like, okay, like if you've got 2 different guys who operate like this, can you make that work? And, do you play them together? How do you make that work with your Nembhard, your Neesmiths? They got to make a decision on Mathurin, this season to see where he fits in all this. And that's another thing. I mean, like if it's not Boozer, you're looking at Peterson or DeBonsa, and you're like, basically, and the question is like, okay, are those guys better than Mathurin? And do you take them just because you get to start over, and you get to, give them a rookie scale deal, and then you have 4 more years to make a decision. Whereas Mathurin, you've got to make the decision right now. That's going to be some interesting stuff to me. Is sort of like, because there's just not as much as it's like, well, top draft pick plus, already established team equals better, like number one, it doesn't always. Number 2, like just where does it fit? Like who who fits in there? Like what do they need? And like what do they need? But also like, is it there? Again, like you probably you could pick it like 10th and get Sinak, and I don't know how long it's going to take for Sinak to be a game, like starter ready player. No idea. I haven't watched these guys enough to know at this point, but the guys the top 3, like everybody's top 3, you can say, okay, well, you have that at home, like, do you like, what are you, what does this look like? And maybe they're just that good. It's like the old, my boss Nat, reminds me all the time of Bobby Knight telling, the guy from Portland when he said, I didn't draft Jordan because I needed a center. And they was like, well, draft Jordan and play him at center. What are you talking about? And it's like, I don't care if you have Clyde Drexler, just play them both. What are we dealing with here? And so, Peterson could be that good, and DeBonsa could be that good. It's just like, you know what? He's a wing. He'll beat everybody, he's better than you think. You're not going to be thinking about Ben Mathurin in 3 years if you have AJ DeBonsa. Maybe you won't. I don't know. So we'll see what that looks like. But, it's interesting that it's not obvious, you're not looking at this and saying, okay, this isn't a year where Wemby's on the table, where you're looking at very good players and you're looking at very good depth. So I don't want to and again, I love Boozer. I think he's tremendous. I was really impressed by his inside-outside game, what he can do. But I watch Pascal Siakam every night, and I'm like, okay, well, Pascal Siakam's all that with a 7'3" wingspan. So that's, he's different. It's wild what that guy can do. And so you're like, all right, well, what's that look like? Can Boozer just sort of fit in as a complementary piece? What are you talking about a couple years from now? So we'll be interested to see.
Absolutely. Well, keep up the good work, my friend. Dustin Dopirak, the Indy Stars beat writer for the Indiana Pacers. Appreciate you as always, brother.
Appreciate you, Jim.
Have a good week.
You too.
Dustin Dopirak joining us here on the program. Back with more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing, or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. It has been a fun day Monday, as your Indiana Hoosiers football team, they're the #1 team in the land, as first time in program history, #1 in the AP poll, #1 in the coaches poll, #1 in the college football playoff rankings, all of it. You've got the Big Ten Coach of the Year in Kurt Signetti, the Quarterback of the Year in Fernando Mendoza, and many other award winners. I don't want to leave those guys out. But I'm talking about right now, here and now, the things that are happening. Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, I'm pretty confident he's probably going to win the Heisman. I'm pretty confident that Kurt Signetti is going to win National Coach of the Year again. How the hell are you going to take that away from him? And then what if Indiana rolls the table, 16-0, undefeated national champions? Hell yeah, I can talk about it. I get to prognosticate. I get to talk about that stuff. I get to put the cart before the horse just to talk about it. Why not? It's that's what this time of year is for, having some fun with things. The fans get to have fun with it. Well, we can have fun with it too. No, Purdue did not have an answer for Iowa State. Basketball games over the weekend. Yeah, how about the shocker? Talk about, all right, we've got 2 firsts in the history of the AP basketball and football polls happened this weekend on the same day. For the first time in the history of the AP poll, well, I shouldn't say for the first time, but Purdue number 1 in the AP poll, the largest margin of defeat by a number 1 team at home in the history of the AP poll, as they get obliterated by Iowa State. Yeah, Iowa State was so pissed off about losing Matt Campbell to Penn State, they went to Lafayette and beat the brakes off of Purdue. And for the first time in AP poll history, Indiana football sits at the top. The only 13-0 team in the country. The only team in the top. I wonder how deep in the poll, AP poll right now, you have to go to find a team that does not have a 5-star player on it. That'll take a little research. And that's a great question. How many teams in the top 12 don't have 5-star, 4-5-star players on it? I'm going to do a little research and find that out after a while, or someone else can do it for me. But that is an amazing thing. It is bizarro world. Andrew says, bizarro world is real, and that could not be any closer to the reality of things. I don't know how Brian Haynes does not win the Broyles Award as the nation's top coordinator, defensive coordinator. How do you? He was close to winning it last year. There's no way you don't give that to him this year. I don't care what anybody says. Indiana's had the best defense year in or game in, game out all year. They've done more than anybody in college football. I saw someone ask about Alabama's stout defense. I'm like, Indiana just played the toughest defense they're going to see this year. That's a fact. Now, I'm not saying Indiana's not going to have tough-ass games. They are. But they just played against the toughest defense they're going to see. It's not the toughest defense in the country. That's Indiana. Luckily, they're not playing against themselves. But you know what? That's another thing. Indiana practices against their own defense. Iron sharpens iron. I hate to say that. I hate to be, use a cliche, but there you go. Yeah, I agree, Andy. I think that Brian Haynes is as locked into the Broyles Award as Kurt Signetti is to the Coach of the Year and the Heisman. Now, I don't know that they'll give Shanahan the is it the same name for both sides, or does the offensive coordinator have a different award? I cannot remember. As I'm looking that up, I apologize, but I cannot remember if those are 2 different awards or if it's just one. Well, someone can tell me that. I can't do that on my own right now, but I'm not sure. I don't see why they wouldn't. But can you imagine if Indiana did sweep all of those? That would be more record-breaking. And other things I've got to look up. When was the last time, or has ever, a Big Ten team accomplished what Indiana's about to accomplish by raking in these awards that they're going to win on top of the ones that they've already won
with the championships and all that, they may be they're in very rare company. And I'm curious if they're in their own company. So there's a lot of stuff I want to look up, because we're not talking about just program history anymore for Indiana. They're making history, period. And it is a blast to see it. It was a blast to see and feel that energy at Lucas Oil Stadium. Man, to see the Indiana fans. And I know people that are going to Pasadena that don't give two rats craps about IU football. They couldn't tell you much at all. And I'm saying this only because they're going to the game in Pasadena, across the country. This has woken up things in people, and that it's just nearly impossible to do. Indiana football is making people care about Indiana football that didn't care about sports. Period. This had nothing to do with being good or bad. I mean, previously, but this now, bandwagon, everybody likes to jump on a bandwagon. Hey, pull it along. Russell keeps asking if Indiana plays on New Year's Eve. Well, unless they have moved the Rose Bowl to New Year's Eve, which don't think that they have, that answer is no, RB. The Rose Bowl is on New Year's Day, people. Has been since 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue and played in the first game. Just kidding. Man, it's just so much fun coming up. And I had, some people want to talk about basketball, and I'm like, I don't care about basketball at the moment, people. Y'all need to enjoy the moment that you're getting to enjoy. And by say I don't care about basketball, I mean, there's no focus on it. Basketball's got a lot of season left. Now they've got a gigantic game coming up with Kentucky on Saturday, but they have games to play prior to that, of course, as in, let's see, where daggone it? I dropped my schedule. They lost to Louisville over the weekend, of course, 87-78, a game that they spotted the card 16 points. You can't do that. Indiana couldn't hit water from a boat. I mean, they were just bad. Turned it around at the end. Lost that game on free throws. Pure and simple. Game came down to free throws. And that, not the fact that Indiana missed too many. It's the fact that Louisville got to the line where Indiana didn't get to the line as much. And it made a gigantic difference. So you got that going for you. But the Hoosiers host their first Big Ten game of the season tomorrow night at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall as the Penn State Nittany Lions come in, and they're 7-1 right now. Man, you if you get back to losing to Penn State at home, you're in trouble. If you lose to Penn State at home, your season is in trouble. There's my hot take of the day. That you cannot lose to teams like that at home. And I'm not knocking Penn State, because they may very well come in and beat Indiana's butts. But Indiana's got to step up. They've got to be better at a lot of things. Rebounding is number one. They're not focused on rebounding. And I'm not saying that you have to focus solely on it, but it has to be an incorporation of what you're doing. And it is not it's not incorporated into what they're doing. There is no focus on rebounding along with everything else that they're doing. And until they make that adjustment, they're gonna lose a lot more games because they're not going to be able to get on the fast break on the defensive end. You're not going you're going to stay in a hole. You're going to rely solely on whether you're having a great night at the 3-point line or not. This team also does not get to the free throw line. Doesn't matter if you're shooting 100%. If you're not shooting as many, if you're getting outshot at the line every night, this team does some things good. Well, I should say, not proper English. Does a lot of things well. One of the things that sticks out is they turn turnovers into points, and they do a really good job of that. So, yes, Claude, I am going to Pasadena. Of course, I've been on this ride where the Hoosiers for 2 years since it started. Was in Pasadena last year, where this kind of got started. Not to jump around. Sorry about that. Claude got me off schedule. Shame on you, Claude. Just kidding. But no, it's been fun. And but Indiana basketball, they've got to get it. Got to get it going. That's all you can say. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow as that game happens tomorrow evening at 8:30 at home against the Penn State Nittany Lions. But yes, heading to Pasadena. This is kind of where it started, if you think about it. The coronation of Curt Cignetti began in Pasadena a little over a year ago. I was out there. I remember shooting the video coming off of the field behind Cignetti with him raising his hands, and all of the Indiana fans that had gone out there had matriculated down to that corner of the field where Indiana's locker room was, and gave him a serenade off. So looking forward to that. And looking forward to being back here tomorrow. Hey, before I go, though, don't forget, go to thehoosier.com and get subscribed and get entered for this gigantic Hoosier Christmas giveaway package, a grand prize package worth over $400. Team issued big Adidas embroidered IU basketball coat. There's a quarter zip in there, that an Adidas quarter zip. There's an IU bag. So you try it for $1. And then you subscribe, you get also a free subscription to The Athletic, in addition to being entered into this. So help support those that are helping bring you this content. If not, it makes it very, very difficult. So asking you kindly to please do so and let me know if you do, so I can make sure that I give you a shout out on that. Also, before I forget, if I out of time today, but tomorrow will remind me, I think we've got a winner to the college pick'ems. Got the jacket ready to go. Big upset winner there at the end, Charger. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. I have to remind myself, but wow, it looked like it made it so much fun this year because there was a lot of changes that kept happening because of how it was set up. But hey, big thanks to everybody on the program today. The man, Don Fischer, Greg Rakestraw, and Dustin Dopirak. Most importantly, thanks to each and every one of you. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.